And we're off. Cake shirt as promised, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Welcome. It is the 26th of October. At present, it is 3:51 p.m. East Coast time. My name is Luke Thomas. This will be our watch along for the two remaining fights for UFC 308, followed by our official UFC 308 post-fight show. If you're new here, this will be news to you. If not, you guys already know the score. All live programming on this channel is brought to you by our good friends at Toolatrees. Toolatrees.com. There is a link in the description box below, but you can go to Toolatrees.com. You can use this promo code you can see right here, LT15, for 15% off site-wide. Anything you want. As for me, and you want to know my favorites, I always tell folks, this is the one, Coastal Pine. Used it just before the show today. Feeling like $1 million. So this is how this is going to go. We're going to watch the co-main, which is about to, they're showing the promo package for it now. We're going to watch the main event, and then we're going to do the post-fight show. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and buckle up, because this is probably going to be a really fun one. I'm not going to get into some of the other fights just yet, because I want to save some analysis for the post-fight show. The very first fight on the entire card at 10 a.m. East Coast time was a very controversial, let's put it that way, very controversial judging decision. But we'll talk about that in the post-fight show a little bit. And again, it's been, the last fight we just saw was Ankalaev and Rakic, which was predictably, what's the word? Predictably ho-hum. I mean, it was, you know, there just wasn't much to it. So that's where we are. That's where we are. Thank you for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see. I've got my C4 energy drink. I mean, when they're naming drinks after explosive material, you just know that something has gone wrong in society. So there's that. Although I did see one time a fat burner at GNC called Arson. That's a real thing. It was called Arson. I was like, I don't know. That's a good idea. I don't know if it's still in business. Probably not, you know. And then let's see, what do I have to drink to quench my thirst? Oh, I've got the Liquid Death. That's right. There we are. Those are not sponsored. I just like those things. So, all right. Let's check that score. I saw that Real Madrid had a goal disallowed. Yeah, halftime. It's 0-0, but I saw Madrid is kind of beaten up on them. I hope that they can turn that into a goal in the next half, but so far, no dice. Yeah. All right. So we'll see how that goes. All right. I'm not going to do any predictions because they are terrible, and I don't like doing them any. I don't like doing predictions anyway, because it's like I don't really, especially with these two fights where, you know, you can have a sense about how things are going to go more than the other one. And I know I did some yesterday for MK, but I just do that because Brian makes me. I don't like doing them. But here we are. We're now at the precipice of Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. This should be an interesting one. This should be an interesting one. Let me see something. I want to see. I think the red corner has won every bout this evening. Let's see where we are with that. So if that holds, and again, I don't know that the red corner is going to win every one of these, but should they do, it would be a Topuria and Whittaker night. So get your betting ready. But yeah, Ankalaev, Lerone Murphy, Shara Bullet. Shara Bullet had a nice knockout. We'll talk about that. And then on down the list, a bunch of injuries on the prelim card too, right? Again, we'll talk about it more in detail. RDA and then Chris Barnett. That was terrible. I feel really bad for them, especially, you know, RDA is 40. Like, I don't know how much time he's got left. I don't know how bad the knee injury is, but there we have it. Okay. If you want to get a comment or a question or anything put on the screen, fire something into the super chat, and then we'll do it. And we'll go from there. So, all right, this should be fun, boys and girls. This should be fun. We are now at the return. Khamzat made it to the fight, ladies and gentlemen. As far as I can tell, Khamzat made it to the fight. Walkouts are about to start now. They're showing the arena. Uh-oh. I guess Khamzat's going to walk out first. By the way, has the crowd, and I know the crowds in Saudi, such that they even exist, are not great, but that's usually not the case for UAE. Usually you get some pretty decent crowds, or at least, fine. I mean, I don't know if there's anything like super special about them, but they're definitely not bad. But they've been a little bit lackluster today. All right, here comes Khamzat. I'll show you a quick glimpse of that, and then you can whoops, wrong one. Let's take that out. Sorry. Hang on, boys and girls. Let's do it this way. Like that. There he is. All right. You got to say, all right, he's going bananas. Here he is. Here comes Khamzat running to the prep point. Massive question. He's never fought anybody this good. He has no wins at 185 of anybody this caliber. There's questions about even if he does really well at first, can he finish Whittaker? If he doesn't finish Whittaker, is he going to fade down the stretch? Is he going to have a more disciplined game plan where he doesn't get shot out of a cannon but can apply it more consistently? I'm about to find out good answers to all of these questions, so I'm very much looking forward to it. This should be a fun one. All right. Khamzat Chimaev, 13-0, modern UFC record, 2 wins in 10 days, 4th smallest amount of bottom time position, 6 seconds. I'm not sure how they measure that. Like across how many fights do you have to have before you qualify for that stat? That typically for Fight Metric, they have a series of stats where you have to have a certain number of fights before they can really even measure it as being eligible for the criteria. So anyway. All right, here's Khamzat. Looks fine. I guess we'll see. Looks ready to go. I guess we gonna see. All right, let's take this off for now. Cake shirt. Let's effing go. I told you I was going to wear it. A promise is a promise. 9:15 a.m. says, this card has been amazing so far, despite weird judging. I'd say in general, it's been pretty good. Yeah. Last fight was a little boring, but it was pretty good. I bet opposite to your predictions. I hope it works well. Oh, then you already would have lost money because I said Ankalaev and Shara Bullet were going to win. So that means you've lost money. Alex says, sour apple vape pen, dog stream. I've got my, which one is it? Strawberry mango here for myself. I don't know if I'm going to use it just yet. Yes, I've had a bad run of predictions recently. I'll never forget when the UFC used to do back-to-back-to-back cards. So they would do a Thursday night card, a Friday night card, and then a Saturday night card. And Saturday night card was obviously the most preeminent one. I remember one time I got all the Thursday fights correct. I got all the Friday fights correct. And then I took like a bath on the Saturday fight card. And no one cared that I got the Friday and the Thursday cards correct. They only wanted to kill me for the Saturday card, which angered me to no end. So that's part of the reason why I'm like, I don't even want to do this. I don't have any great insight about predicting how some of this stuff's going to go unless it's like a really lopsided matchup. So we'll see. Whittaker looking mean, boy. Look at this. Looking mean. Here he comes. This is a huge fight for him, man. You stumble here, I don't know what the road back is anymore. But he's going to need to have the intensity. I think we can all agree with that. He's going to need to have the intensity. He's going to need to have a measure of ready to go from the opening bell. You can't get too nervous, but you just know this guy's going to try and put it on you. At least we think, right? Based on how he's performed in the past, he comes again shot out of a cannon. You have to be prepared for a guy who's going to fight you like he's been shot out of a cannon. I think is the best way to put that. But whether he will or not, I don't know. Let's see. Cake shirt. There you go, buddy. Bobby looking hard as fug. Yeah, man. He is. We're going to see if that works. 33 is tough. He's also trying something very, very difficult. Got a cornerman there with some big-ass cauliflower ear in the corner of your screen. God damn. Half the screen's cauliflower. All right. He daps up his cornerman. He goes to the prep point. They're going to check his nails. They're going to put the Vaseline on his face. Tied for 3rd most wins in UFC middleweight history. Damn, 14. 5th most significant strikes in UFC middleweight history with 1,098. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Whittaker is now in the cage, boys and girls. Let me get this thing ready. Let's see. All right. Let me get this ready so I can clear this off. Very good. All right. There's Khamzat. He's not sitting on top of the cage this time. We'll see what that means here in a minute. I'm going to turn my sound up just a bit. There we are. Now I can hear the commentary. By the way, commentary has seemed fine. Fine. One of Kadyrov's sons is cornering Chimaev. Is that true? I haven't noticed. It might be. Bobby Nux looks hard as McGregor at Mayweather press conference. Like a frozen steak. 6'2". Let's see. Chimaev has an 1.5 inch reach advantage. To what extent that will be relevant, we're about to find out. Here comes Bruce Buffer. Bobby Nux looks to be in fantastic shape. Bors looks like he's ready to go. Golly, man. Crowd's on their feet. Well, some of them anyway. 5 rounds, boys and girls. Don't forget, 5 rounds. It's a co-main, but it's 3 rounds. Normally, this one's going to be 5. 5-round co-main event, non-title, obviously. Let's see how this goes. All right, they've got Chimaev, according to our friends at DraftKings, as a -225 favorite. It's probably fair. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. All right, they introduced Chimaev. Crowd looks pretty packed by now. There's Bobby Nux. Plus 185 underdog. By the way, they say one of 15 active UFC fighters training in Australia. All right. Let's see what Robert Whittaker's got in store for this guy. He looks pumped, man. Hope it works, for his sake anyway. All right, here we go. Let's get this clock ready. Let's see. Here we go. Bang. Perfect. Right on time. All right. Whittaker in the orthodox stance. Khamzat Chimaev coming out southpaw, switching a little bit. Some leg kicks from Whittaker. Whittaker, this is not atypical, but with a low stance. And there's Chimaev with that blitzing shot right away, and he makes it to the back. There's the whizzer from Whittaker. Whittaker had to know this was coming. He's trying to drag Whittaker off of his base. Man, so he's gonna Turk the inside leg here. Whittaker's got to stay calm, and you see him posting out the rear side, the far side leg. Excuse me. Man, Bors right away on the. He's got the leg ride here, and you see he's trying to occupy the space between Whittaker's back and the fence. Double wrist control now from Chimaev, but that he could get rolled if he's not careful, but he lowers the base, so he's all right. Whittaker's just going to have to survive this, man. Golly, Chimaev's shot is so fast and so low when he comes in. It's really, I just don't know who can stop it. Get your hands off the fence, Whittaker. There we go. So far, Whittaker just doing good enough to not let it, just don't let the position get worse, right? Just make him work from here, maintain. And you could see Chimaev trying to make Whittaker wrestle to his hands or go to a knee. Let's see. There you see him tilting to the hands. Yeah, you hear DC. Whittaker right now needs to relax. That's true. You got to be on alert, but you can't. And you see there Chimaev trying to drag him away from the fence so he can get another hook in. Whittaker doing the right thing, fighting the far side hand, putting his side against the fence so that Chimaev can't occupy it. Rolls through, tries to come on top. Let's see if he can do it. He's got to go. And then Chimaev takes the back. It looks like Whittaker might roll through here. Yes, he does. Boom. And then he stuffs the takedown. But then Chimaev, again, that Chimaev shot is so low and so fast. It's crazy. He captures the crossed and near side, pulls out that corner, drives him down, but Bobby Nux is back on it. Bobby Nux doing just enough here to just maintain, hold on, not let the fight get away from him. Half a round down. If I'm Chimaev, it's not like you're going to lose this, but you want to put a little bit more damage on this guy. Chimaev spends so much time in these control positions that he doesn't get a chance to really do hardcore damage. Good job from Whittaker trying to roll through. He's going to give up mount here. There it is. That's better for Chimaev. You know what? I actually think it's smart from Whittaker to give up his back because there's less ground and pound typically from Chimaev that way. Look at Whittaker pinning the wrist of Chimaev onto his own to prevent him from obviously building some stability and punching with it. He's going to try and half Nelson here with almost with one hand. That's better. This is better from Chimaev. You see him going for the choke. Oh, he taps right away? Wow. I mean, that's crazy. He tapped right away. I didn't even think the choke was on. I didn't even think the choke was on. That's nuts. He just ran right through him. He ran right through him. I'm kind of blown away by that. Oh, maybe something's wrong with his jaw? It looks like Whittaker kind of opened his mouth. Something was wrong with his jaw. Dude, give that guy the title shot, right? Give that guy the title shot. Let's see. Okay, here's the replay. Just to look at this, how low this shot is. He goes right to the ankles, can't quite get him, then goes to the hip. Let's see. Let's see. Punch on the right-hand side, slips the left under. It's right over the chin. I didn't even think that was on, but he tapped right away. Obviously, you can tap over the jaw, but you typically have to have... Man, he must have sick ability. You can obviously tap over the jaw, but you either have to pull it straight back. Excuse me. You have to pull back. You have to go kind of J-hook it back, or you have to kind of pull it at an angle. And it looked like that was just right on top of it, versus the opposite. But Jesus, it was obviously enough. Dude, he just ran right through him. He ran right through him. Good Lord. All the questions about what Whittaker was going to be able to do to drag this fight late, we didn't get an answer to any of that. We didn't get an answer to any of that shit. Nothing. Dude, no one's beaten Whittaker like that, right? Who's beaten Whittaker like that? I have to go back and look at his record, but obviously Izzy stopped him in whatever fight that the first one was, the second or third round. I can't remember. Obviously DDP had a stoppage, I think, and what was the second round or so in that fight. I'm gonna have to go back and look. But even then, this was just one-way traffic until he threw on the sub, and then that was it. It was over. Hey, there's Patchy Mix and Tatiana Suarez sitting in the audience. Sucks that we didn't get to see her fight. All right, here's your results officially. What time did they get it? I think it was less than a minute left. .334. Damn. That's a big win for Khamzat Chimaev, ladies and gentlemen. Tons of questions about this guy. Tons. All right, let's see what he says to Daniel Cormier. I can't hear him. He gives a lot of credit to Robert Whittaker. Longest active win streaks UFC middleweight division. Khamzat Chimaev 4. Man, he is terrifying. He came on the left side with the choke. Man, he just tapped right away. How often do you see someone get a choke over the jaw and then they tap instantly? That's pretty rare. Like, I mean, obviously it happens, but it's pretty rare. That doesn't happen too often. And he calls for the belt. I mean, dude. And then he thanks Abu Dhabi, best country in the world. By the way, the Jesus is an MMA fighter movie is like a sponsor of this event. What the fuck? All right, does anyone have a reaction to that? I don't even know what to say. Like, that was kind of anticlimactic. It went right over the jaw, and he tapped instantly. I guess maybe he had an injury. I don't know. Maybe he had the dental surgery previously. I don't know. Did that play a role? I don't know. I don't really know. But it's very rare, typically. Oh, yeah, it is Kadirov's kids. Jesus Christ. That is unbelievable. It's Kadirov's kids. Fucking hell. How does Khamzat do against DDP and Strickland? I'm guessing pretty fucking good. Right? I'm guessing pretty fucking good. You would imagine he can get them both down. Right? Eventually. Make him work for it. Strickland's going to be tough. I mean, they're both going to be tough. That's just nuts what he just did. Super nuts. Title shot or bust. How tight is the squeeze? Like, dude, again, getting someone with a rear naked choke and then they tap instantly, you can feel it because everything constricts all at once and you can tell you've got no room to play with. And if the hands are locked up and you can't reach back and get them, then like you kind of know you've met your match unless you just really want to go until you go out. You can do that. Hey, there's Steve Harvey doing some sports washing. There's Sergio Ramos. Yeah. Legend. Volk. Big pop for Volk. Deservedly so. But again, over the jaw, they have to lock it and then, do whatever manipulation is required from that point to get it. It's typically very, very, very rare. Are you wearing the same shirt as the last stream? No, the last stream, everyone was mad at me for not wearing this. I think I wore this on the Better Beef Bivol stream, right? Something like that. So here we go. All right. Holy shit. Holy shit is right. Jesus, that was legitimately anticlimactic. Like, there was nothing to that. I still can't believe he tapped so quickly over the jaw like that. All right, boys and girls, it's time. It's time. It is time for the main event. Oh, fuck. And Barcelona's up 1-0. Jesus. Oh, they just scored. Lewandowski. Great. Great. All right. There's Max. Big test for Topuria. Big test for Max. Huge opportunity for Max. Can you imagine if you're Topuria and you got to fight back-to-back Volkanovski and Holloway? Like, what a difficult, awful 1-2 assignment that is. NYM says, if Boers can defend a 1 and lead Teep, he smokes Sean. Man, I'm inclined. I mean, I don't even know if I'm inclined to agree, but I'm definitely not inclined to disagree. You know what I mean? Like, he just ran through Robert Whittaker. He just ran through him. And that was a Robert Whittaker that had basically beaten everyone except Izzy and DDP. And he, the second fight with Izzy was very, 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 very close. He just right through him. Like it was nothing. Right through him. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's super, super, super crazy. What do you have to say? Usman versus Rob now for the 185 BMF title. Yeah, no shit, man. That loss by Usman is aging nicely, if I do say so myself. Hype train officially back on the rails. No kidding. Here we go. I didn't hear it on the broadcast. They said Rob's jaw was dislocated. Yeah, so if your jaw is dislocated and it's not sitting right and someone cranks on it, you're going to get all kinds of, I've had my jaw dislocated. It's extremely painful, especially like trying to put it back in. So, yeah. Let's see. Alan W. says, looked like he opened his jaw and he locked it, or his jaw was damaged. That made the lock worse. Yes. If your jaw is dislocated, then putting it right, because this is my point. In a scenario where your jaw is not dislocated, how many times have you seen someone go over the jaw and then get an immediate tap? It's very, very rare, right? But if it's not in place and someone is like cranking on it like that, it can be, excruciatingly painful. Gigi says, I know it's pretty unlikely, but something is in the air for an Ilia KO. I'm feeling middle of round 3. All right. Your prediction. I think my friends who are Barca supporters are now teasing me on the fucking thing. Let's see. Yeah, they are. Fucking jerk-offs. All right. Main event times. Who's taking Max? Anybody taking Max? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, Jesus. Now it's 2. All right. It's gotten away from us. There you go. Yep. There it is. Fuck my life. Jesus. Let's see if they can get it together. All right. Tu Chang says, I'm taking Max. He's got good judgment. We'll see about that. He's officially in on him. I think the biggest issue for me is whether Topuria can find him. That's going to be the big one. Like, if he can find him, obviously he can land on him like with authority. But I actually feel like if Max is moving behind his jab, angling off, and not there for the counter, and not easy to corral because he's moving, that's going to be the hardest part for Ilia. Conversely, if Max is able to do that, he's going to win this one walking away, Vin says, is it confirmed Chimaev can enter America? It is not confirmed. If he can, then I see him skip Strickland for the title shot. Well, if they do it with DDP, where are they going to put it? They might put it. I don't know who knows where they're going to put it, right? We'll see. All right, this gentleman says, I'm taking Max by decision. Very possible. Very possible. By the way, I guess because Chimaev won, now the blue corner has won. So there you go. The red corner streak is over. All right, folks. Golly, man, I am nervous. Let's see this. Also at work, so got to hide in walk-in to watch the main. Don't get fired, bud. Don't get fired. Maddle Wiz ATX says Max by injury. Well, I really hope not. I don't mind. I really don't care who wins. I really don't. As long as it's no referee, judge, or injury issue. As long as it's just like the best guy won because the best guy had the best performance. That's it. I don't care about anything else after that. All right. Nathan says, I put $1 on Max. I expect Topuria to win, but plus 220 for Max just felt too large a gap. Fair enough. Alexander says, Luke, are these new gloves horrible for one-punch KOs? Well, the data early is a little concerning, but everyone who's a data expert says we don't have enough data to really know. So let's just keep an eye on it. Fofo says Max by what the F was that? Oh, you mean like a vicious KO or something? JP34 says Max, baby. Let's F go. Okay, we got some Max supporters. All right, very good. Very good. Ken Hernandez, Max by late 3rd or early 4th TKO. Okay. I could see that. I could see Topuria getting overwhelmed. Here comes Max. Championship gloves and everything. Alan W. If by tonight, take a double decker to the face, what we drinking for the sorrow? I'm not drinking for this. I'm not drinking for the sorrow. I'll be all right. Steve says, Max is my favorite fighter, but I've got Ilia. Okay, fair enough. Again, it's not hard to make a pick in either direction. Brendan says, Ilia is going to do to Max like Volk did him in the third fight. Off the back foot, though? I'd be surprised if he did it off the back foot. That seems a little bit much. NYM, welcome to the party, friend. Uncanny says, if you're a UFC matchmaker, do you have Khamzat Hop Strickland for the title shot, or do you match him up with Izzy? We'll talk about that in the post-fight show. I'll get to that. Don't worry. I won't forget this. From Uncanny. Bell Sprout for the win. Bet on fighters name end with a V tonight and you win. Yeah, that's most nights, my friend. That ain't just tonight. That ain't just tonight. That's most nights. All right, here we go. Here is Max Holloway at the prep point. Coming out to Hawaiian Kickboxer, which is one of the coldest walkouts. I just think it's so awesome that he comes out to that. It's so cool. Here we go. All right, he's dapping up Ivan Flores, some of the other guys at Gracie Technics. And now he's going to go to the prep point. And the guy who's putting Vaseline on him has tattoos on the back of his head. He seems frightening. Most significant strikes in UFC history for Max, 3,378. Most wins, 20. Most finishes, 11 in UFC featherweight history. Former UFC featherweight champion and obviously current UFC BMF champion. That's a decorated fucking guy. All right, let's see. Max looks good. He looks ready. Looks fit. Looks hyped. He looks good to go. Mark Goddard, your referee tonight, boys and girls. Mark Goddard, your referee. That Mountain says, guessing for another disappointing fast finish, Ilia by volume TKO. I mean, that's going to be hard to do to Max. Also, just commenting to pay my fair share for your content. Stay frosty. BB. Thank you, brother. We'll see. You could be right. Andrew says, enjoy this fight, Luke. Been great at coverage. Know this is a special one for you. It's one of the highs of covering combat sports. I know. I tried to explain this on. I know what people are going to say if Ilia loses. Oh, how do you feel, Luke? I feel fine. I feel fine. Obviously, I think Ilia is very, very good, but I've tried to be like I've tried to explain this as much as I could this week on both MK and the live chat. Max winning would hardly be some kind of solemn occasion. You know what I mean? Like, Max is impossible to dislike, and a win here would be so significant for him. How could you feel anything other but joy? Anything other than joy for him? You know what I mean? I had to make sure my door's closed because my family might come home while I'm here. So, I think Ilia is talented, but so is Max, and Max is trying something here that I don't know that I say it all the time. I don't know that anybody thought he'd be back here in a situation like this after UFC 276. Even his most ardent supporters, I don't think thought he'd be back here on a night like this. So in many ways, Max has already won, but if he can add to it tonight, holy shit. So we'll see. Again, the only request that I have is that there's no injury, judging, or referee issue. I want the guy who deserves it, because they're the best one on the night, to get their hand raised. That's it. Trumbo says, Max usually starts slow and builds into the fight. Do you think that's the strategy for this one? Unless Ilia forces him out of it somehow, I don't see how he would do anything other than that. It's been a tried and true formula. He builds as the fight goes on, and I think he's probably going to want to do that here, especially for a guy who doesn't have that deep water experience in the same way that he does, right? Like, Max has been in the trenches. You want to pull that guy into that space because he's just not been there. He's had, obviously, the 5-round fight with Emmett and whatever, but not the same level, right? Not the same level. Carnage says, Luke, who is more competent, a Delta 8 filled BC or Operation Black Ops Tito? I'd say a Delta 8 filled BC. Favorite liquor? I don't drink much like that anymore. Favorite liquor? There's Sergio Ramos. Some kind of rum or whiskey. I just don't drink like that anymore. Thanks for your stuff, King of the Donks. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your patronage. Donegan, my dad is picking Max, and my pops consistently washes me when it comes to picks. So let's see. P.S. That Whittaker sub crushed me. It was fast. It was fast. Your pops might be right. We'll see. Alan W. Max got the feels. I'm liking this energy. I might switch my position. I mean, you got two guys at the top of the game. You can see how it's easy to get a pick by either guy. Maddle says, Luke, about to feel all the feels either way. Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true. Holy moly, talk about spam bots. There might be a bunch. I can't do much about it now, guys. I apologize. All right, there's Ilia coming into the cage. There he goes. Ilia's now in the cage. My wife texting me? Yep. Oh, they're eating. Okay. Ilia looks a little too confident, if you're asking me. Max, a little bit more hyped, but a little bit more centered, controlled. Ilia's got like a smirk on his face. My heart is beating, so you'd think I was fighting. Can you imagine Don Davis right now being like, yeah, I don't want to watch this fight? You sure? You sure about that? I do. I do. All right, before we get going here, reminder, Toiletries, boys and girls, they provide all the live programming here. LT15 or 15% off. Toiletries.com. All right, there's a shot of Merab. Yeah, I got to tell you, Ilia's got like a crazy confident look on his face. There's the tail of the tape. 27 for Ilia, 32 for Max. 5'7 versus 5'11, that could be relevant with a step through knee. 145 on either side, obviously, but they both have the same reach, 69 inches. Minus 285 fave for Ilia, plus 215 dog for Max Holloway, according to our friends at DraftKings. Here's Bruce Buffer. Holy shit, boys and girls. Can you imagine Don Davis being like, yeah, I don't watch this kind of MMA? Well, what are you doing in the sport then? Whew. So your judges for tonight, Mike Bell, Ben Cartledge, and David Letheby. Ben Cartledge, I always say this, one of the best in the business. So you at least have one. The other ones might be good too. Actually, I think two of those guys are good. I don't know about Mike Letheby, but certainly two of the three passed the vibe check. Dude, that Jesus Christ as the MMA fighter movie, like poor Bruce Buffer has to be like, the Prince of Peace, has to read it all out. All right, here we go. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Both guys look to be in tremendous condition. Whew. Here comes the it's time. Here we go. It's time. Lights go down. Shadow boxing there from Ilia. We'll see how that goes. By the way, Max's shorts, dope. Ilia's shorts, dope. So as a dog, Max Holloway is 5-5. 50-50. Oh my God. Now my heart's beating a million miles a minute. Boys and girls, this is what it means to be a fight fan. Here we go. Hold on. Let me take this off now. Oop. My heart is pounding. I'm so anxious, excited, and nervous. Me too. Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to open presents. I've literally got like a tension headache. I mean, I'm fine, but I've got like a tension headache from like the, you know. All right, introducing Ilia. Doing a little capoeira backstep. All right. He looks confident. I guess we're going to see. He looks loose. I'll say that for him. He looks loose. Max about to take him to deep waters, probably, right? All right, let's get this ready. They touch gloves. All right, here we go. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway for the UFC 145 title. Trying to get this timing. Here we go. And we're off. He points to the center. Oh, and then Max does the Matador thing. Awesome. Awesome. Jab to the body from Max. Rear leg kind of jumping front kick. Remember, Ilia lost the first round on all three judges' scorecards against Volkanovski. So he might start slow too. Max using a lot of kicks right up front. Oof. Right hand kind of strafes Max a little bit. No big deal. Double jab right hand from Ilia misses. Yeah, and you can see that they want him on that level change position. So Ilia level changes a lot. So Max has that rear leg. I think that knee's going to come through. Uppercut, left hook for Ilia. Excuse me, for Max. Wow, Ilia's right. Ilia's starting a little strong, or heavy with the offense. Right hand to the body from Ilia. He's chasing a little bit. Double leg from Ilia. Wow, takedown. Interesting. All right, Max scoots to the fence. Let's see what he does with it. That's interesting. So Ilia traps it. Now he goes to the back. Whizzer prevents it from Max, but he trips out the back leg, sends him back down. Still, Max is in good position here to withstand it. Let's see. Ilia with a hard right hand, and they let go. Good work from Max. Not too much damage. Leg kick from Ilia. Hard right hand from Ilia stuns Max just for a second. Max is okay. Good check hook from Max. Hard leg kick as Max comes in off the jab from Ilia. Ilia playing that high-low game. Again, hard outside leg kick. Right hand nearly scores on Max. He gets out of the way. Uppercut. Oh, he gets Max up against the fence, but Max does a good job to retreat back to center. I think they both kind of exchange jabs there. Again, hard leg kick from Ilia. Ooh. Crowd is finally alive. Another hard outside leg kick from Ilia. Jesus, my heart is fucking pounding. Double jab from Ilia goes nowhere. Changing the rhythm from Ilia. Did you see that? Double jab, didn't get a reaction. Double jab, got a reaction, but he baited it, and then as he pulled him in, and then goes over the top with it. They're both exchanging. None of them get anywhere with it. Good right, kind of right uppercut from Holloway. Hard outside leg kick from Topuria. I think Max snuck a punch in there somewhere. Oof. I guess Max landed a right hand. I couldn't see it off the camera switch. Good jab from Max. Back kick from Max goes nowhere. Jab to the body from Topuria. Oh! Topuria dropped him, it looked like. It looks like Topuria dropped him with a jab. It could have just been a punch. Could have just been a flash one. It's hard to tell. Max looks like he's all right, but he did drop him. I think. Again, the camera angle makes it hard to see. Great round. How'd you guys score it? How'd you score it? I'd say that jab kind of touched up Topuria a little bit. Did he drop him at the end? I can't tell. Pretty good round. Pretty good round. Let's see. Did he drop him with this one? There's the double. That was a good one. Didn't get much from it, but, nice to mix it up. That right hand. That was the one that snuck through a little bit. Yep. Let's see. Hard leg kick from Ilia. Good elbow from Max, and he got a bit of a left hook over the top. I think Max just slipped, right? Or did he run into the punch? Hard to tell. Here we go. Let's do it. Round 2. Right hand over the top of the jab, lands for Max. Good movement from Max. This is what I mean. You see him getting out of the way. Ilia tries to reach. Good right from Max. Jumping side kick from Max doesn't do much. Oof, Ilia misses with a right. Oof. 3-punch combination misses from Ilia. Good leg kick from Ilia. He gets hit with the jab, though. Oh, Max is just at the end. Good defense from Max. Kept it up off that left hook. Jab to the body from Ilia. Good hard outside leg kick from Ilia. Right hand scores, but it wasn't super heavy. Another leg kick. Ooh, he eats a jab on the way in. Oh, big left hook lands for Ilia. They trade leg kick for Ilia, left hook for Max. They're trading. They're trading. Holy shit, they're trading. They're trading. I think Max got the better of that one. Double pump right hand lands for Ilia. They're swinging. Max kind of floating the jab out there. Nothing landing too hard. He's not feinting much right now. Ilia just kind of jousting with him. That's bad. Body shot by Ilia. A good one, too. Mm. Again, every time Ilia lands an outside leg kick, there's like a bit of a check hook / slap from Holloway. Ooh. Good right hand from Max. Oh, good right hand from Ilia. One minute left. Man. Whew. Everything is so nip and tuck. Oh, big right hand from Ilia. But Max lands a body shot. Good outside leg kick from Ilia. Oh, they both kind of exchange here. I'm not sure who got the better of it. Turning back kick from Max. Ilia's on the outside now. Whew. What a round. Jesus. Is it really? I mean, just fucking kill me. I'm not. I don't even know how to score this. I don't know how to score this. Let's see. Alex thinks, I don't know how long ago he put this in. I don't know if this is round 1 or round 2, but he thinks at least Max won one of those. Alex thinks high level work from both. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying it. And then Brantendo, there's something so consequential about this one. Big. Topuria still leading in the odds, but they have narrowed, the live odds anyway. They have narrowed significantly. Let's see this one. Big left hand. Let's see. Left hook from Max. Right hand from Max. Let's see. All right, here we go. Max kind of busy with the kicking, trying to disrupt. Max land a big body shot, I think. Good outside leg kick from Ilia. Body shot. Body shot from Max. Left hook from Ilia. Ooh, good oblique kick from Max. 2 of them. Man, Max is so hard to hurt. Oh, huge right hand from Ilia. He stunned Max. He stunned Max. All right, Max is okay, it looks like. But that was a bit. Oh, Max is not okay. Max is not okay. Max looks wobbly here. Oh, another right hand from Ilia. Oh! 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 He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. The first man to finish him by TKO, Ilia Topuria. Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. Stopping power, ladies and gentlemen. Stopping power. Holy fucking shit. Max was fighting his ass off. Max might have won the first 2 rounds. Nobody's got power like this motherfucker at 145. Nobody. Nobody. Wow. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Whew. First of all, let's hope Max is okay. Let's hope Max is okay. All right? Wow. What are they doing with Ilia? Why is he going and greeting half these motherfuckers in the audience? Oh my God, Max looks so dejected. Oh, I hate seeing that shit. Oh, I hate seeing that shit. I'm about to get a little choked up. I don't like seeing that from Max. They're embracing. Ilia and Max are embracing. Ilia is now congratulating showing respect to Max's team. Let's watch this replay. Let's see. Hook, hand trap, right hand as Max was extended. That froze him. That froze him. Let's see. Left hook, misses. Oh, but the second one landed. Holy shit. And then he just hammer fisted him. Boom. Let's see again. Switched angles on him. Oh, he came off the blind side. Man. And look, what do you notice? Behind the black line again, all of Ilia's KOs behind the black line. That's true for a lot of people, but he was even able to get Max there. Fuck, dude. Oh, fuck. I hate seeing Max like that. Ugh. Oh, my God. I feel happy for Topuria, but I actually feel a lot more sad for Max than I thought I would. That was a little hard to watch, boys and girls. I don't know how you feel. I'm actually a little bit... That's a little hard for me, y'all, if I can be honest with you. I didn't think it would make me feel that way, but it does. Man. There's Volk. There's Diego Lopez. But I got to tell you, I was not prepared to see Max Holloway this dejected. I just have to be honest with you. I was not mentally prepared for that. All right, here's the official decision. .134 of round number 3. Knocked him out. Knocked him out. First guy to knock Max down, first guy to stop him with strikes. Man. They're paying a lot of respect to each other. That was a tough fight for Ilia. He was arguably losing that fight. At a bare minimum, it was very close. All right, here's Daniel Cormier. Oh, Max looks so disappointed. Fuck me, man. Ilia giving Max all the props in the world. Yeah, he just gives Max a lot of credit. Classy. There we go. Classy. All right, let's see the highlights. Hook. Oh, that right hand stunned him. It looked to me like Max thought it was going to the body. Ilia changes positions. Oh, and caught him off the weak side. Fucking A, bro. All right, they're asking him what he wants next. He's fighting Spain, right? He tells Volk that he deserves a rematch. All right, he's saying he's happy about his family. I want to hear from Max, and then we'll get the post-fight going. If you have a question for the post-fight show, fire that into the super chat, please. Fire that, any question or comment. And then he's talking in Spanish. All right, let's see what Max has to say. All right, here's Max. He goes, I wasn't surprised, but he landed a shot and it hurt more than I thought it did. No excuses, says he felt great, had a great camp. He said he gave him the name Bounce Back, so he's, I'm going to see you again, my friend. Fuck, man. Okay. All right. Let me get this tweet up because we have to do the post-fight show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Let's see. Okay. So let me close this up. And let's get this going. Let's reset. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Thomas. UFC 308 is in the books. It is time now for the UFC 308 post-fight show. If you've got a question or a comment, excuse me, that you would like answered, fire that into the super chat. If you're new here, thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We have a lot to get to. As I mentioned, UFC 308 is in the books, and it's time now to talk about it. The post-fight show starts now. All right, there we are. The post-fight show for UFC 308 starts now. As your casual reminder, Toiletries, ladies and gentlemen, is the sponsor for all live programming right here on my channel. Big thanks to our friends over at Toiletries. You can go to toiletries.com, use my code LT15 for 15% off. And you might be asking, Luke, what's something that you use in the Toiletries, variety of products? This is literally the one I use every single day, the Coastal Pine Beard Wash. It's my favorite, and it will set you off just right. Toiletries.com, and if you want to know, there's a link in the description box below. Okay. Wow. We have a lot to get to. Here we go. Let's get this started. Let me get the results up. And I want to see the end of that one more time. But I want to pull the results if I can. All right. UFC 308 is in the books. It took place at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. In the main event, Ilia Topuria defeats Max Holloway via KO at 134 of round number 3. Both rounds were pretty competitive. I want to talk about each of them in a minute. I want to wait till all of the data from Fight Metric gets uploaded. But let me start with a bit of a different preamble, if I may. There was some debate this year, and I think that people think that there's not debate, but I believe that there's debate. That who is fighter of the year? Who is that? Who is fighter of the year? And to me, the answer is Ilia Topuria. He didn't fight as many times as Alex Pereira, who fought more regularly, and also, we should be very clear, under very suboptimal conditions. Like, what he was able to pull off is incredible. And in fact, if you had to vote and you voted for Poatan as your fighter of the year, I would argue that there's a decent case for that, certainly. And I would also argue that like the role he served to carry the UFC this year was more pivotal than anybody else. I will grant that. But even though he has 3 wins and Ilia only has 2, Ilia's 2 wins are over the former pound-for-pound #1 guy in the fucking sport, and Alexander Volkanovski polished him off inside 2, and in Max Holloway, becoming the first guy to knock Max down and then officially stop him with strikes, right? We're talking about somebody of a different level. And I hope everyone can look at this win today from Ilia Topuria and recognize something, which I've been saying this whole time, and I feel like finally proved to be quite true. There were people who wanted to discount the value of what he did against Volkanovski the first time, because Volkanovski did take that fight under suboptimal conditions, right? He had just been head kick KO'd up a weight class by Islam, took that fight on short notice, and then made a way too quick of a turnaround to really last against a guy like Ilia Topuria. But how can you look at Topuria and the power and the precision that he turned in today in turning off the lights of Max Holloway, which was honestly hard to watch? I did not enjoy that. I mean, I'm happy for Ilia Topuria, but like watching Max like that, I did not like that. It was almost like watching a friend. That was actually kind of hard to watch. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you can put out the lights of Max Holloway, nobody else stands a chance. Not to say nobody could beat him, but in terms of like standing up to the power and what he can offer, nobody else can do that. So to me, it's like, I get and I understand that, yes, Volk took that fight under suboptimal conditions. He wasn't walking out of that octagon with that belt that night. It was going to be a matter of time before Ilia put hands on him, and as soon as he did, he could not stand up to that power. I don't think anybody can stand up to his power at 145. That doesn't mean he's invincible. That's really not what I'm saying. But if he lands what he landed on Max on literally any other featherweight, it's over. It's over for them. It's curtains. They're not going to make it. Right? Beating Volkanovski and Max Holloway and finishing them both via KO in the same calendar year, to me, is way, way, way more difficult, vastly more difficult than any other, at a bare minimum, two other fighter combination that anyone else has. And Poatan obviously has the third, but I'm sorry, beating up guys like Yuri, yes, I know he's a former champion, but he literally doesn't use defense. Like, to me, that just doesn't count as much. And, you know, in general, at light heavyweight, I certainly think those guys are good, but they're not elite like Max Holloway, Jamal Hill, Yuri, and Khalil Roundtree. These are good fighters, some better than others, but they're good. They're not elite like Volkanovski. They're not elite like Max. And he polished both of them off. This is a different level of power puncher in the UFC. And it's not just pure power. It is technique. It is timing. It is angle change. It is precision. It is accuracy. It is all of the above. And he is beating guys. I mean, literally, Ilia this year KO'd, and you heard Max, no excuses. Ilia literally KO'd two all-time greats. Fuck Hall of Famers. I mean, yes, of course they're Hall of Famers. Two all-time greats. And he KO'd them in back-to-back fights. That alone, to me, is more impressive than beating, yes, talented, good fighters, and on short notice. I mean, that's tough. I'm not saying it's like some walk in the park. It's tough. But I think that's an easier task than it is to wipe out two all-time greats in the sport. I genuinely believe that. So I hope that when folks consider where Ilia falls, there's not to say that there's no case for Poatan. There, of course, is a case. If you have 3 KOs or 3, whatever it is, TKOs, if I don't know how they're classified, but, you know, he stopped all 3 guys with strikes. I mean, that's goddamn impressive. And in ways Ilia never did, Poatan carried the sport on his back this year. Like, I get that. But, like, what is more difficult? To beat 3 good fighters or to beat 2 all-time greats back-to-back and stop both of them? To me, my vote would go to Ilia Topuria. Okay. With that preamble out of the way, let's talk about the fight itself. And I want to take a look at some of these results if I can. I'm going to pull these up. Let's see here. From Fight Metric. Yeah, I got it right here. Let's take a look. Okay, I think we have the results in. They credited Ilia with 2 takedowns. Oh, that's right, because he had the 1 takedown, then he got him again the second time. Let me blow up some of these numbers so there you can see them. All right, let's take a look at some of these numbers if we can here. I'm going to show them to you just like that. Okay, so these are the results from our friends over at Fight Metric. All right. Topuria gets the knockdown over Max Holloway. That's the first one of those that's ever happened. He was kind of out-volumed in significant strike, although he landed 52% of them. He's credited with the 2 takedowns, almost no control time. You know, he didn't do much with them. Let's take a look round by round. Max was definitely busier both rounds, although the second round was much closer. He got the 2 takedowns there. So again, this round to me felt like more of a Max round. Second round was a little bit harder to tell, but I think you could score the first 2 rounds for Max. They're narrow. They're definitely narrow, but you could do it. It wouldn't be too crazy. It would be a question of less so quantitative totals and more qualitative totals, depending on how you want to look at that. But then the third round, of course, is where everything came off the rails. 21-14, again, quantitative totals. But I want to see about the targeting of the head. Max, this is the head strikes. Max targeted the head 13, 20, and 16. Excuse me, Ilia. 13, 20, and 16 on the first. 17 by Max, 23 in the second one, and then 7. Obviously, the round got away from him. Let's take a look at the targeting here if we can. Yeah, so you guys can see it. All right, Ilia is in the red, and Max is in the blue. 65, 14, 20 for him. And then for Max, 59, 16, and 20. I mean, almost identical percentages. I mean, a little bit less to the leg for Ilia, a little bit more to the body for Max, but it's pretty similar. Here's what I want to see. What did Ilia's performance against Volkanovski look like in terms of percentages? Yeah, look at this. Much more to the leg, about the same to the body, much less to the head. So he was actually, excuse me, that's Volkanovski. What am I saying? Other way. But even then, it's the same thing. To the leg and to the head, it went much less to the head. So he was headhunting. Ilia was a little bit more this time. He wasn't doing as much body work. We had said pre-fight, let's talk about the rounds themselves. We had said pre-fight, my thought was one of the hardest things for Ilia was going to be kind of finding Max. Certainly cornering him was going to be difficult. We thought there might be some grappling. You did see some evidence of that, but really it was not in any way very consequential. I thought the hardest thing for Ilia was going to be to find Max, right? Max is good. You saw off the jab and then the angle change, or jab, pull, go again, then turn, right? Just kind of being in your face, busy with the work, making you work as a consequence, kind of countering you, finding you all over the top just by touch, 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 go, touch, 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 go, pull, go, right? Changing rhythm, but just constantly being busy and making you work while he's moving, while he's turning, while he's retaking center. I thought in general, he did a pretty good job of that. They had clearly looked at that high-low game that Ilia is very, very good at. He plays high-low, side to side on everything. Have you guys noticed that? So many times, like in the Volkanovski fight, he plays high-low, high-low. Oh, right hand's going to go low. They think it's going to go low. Then he switches up the rhythm and then the combination, and then he goes high, and then it crashes into him. And then all of a sudden, the show is over. Right? That's really how it goes. You got a lot of that here as well. So they clearly had a game where they were going to use the rear leg of Max, both the front kick up the middle, kind of like, showing him that knee. So if he comes in too low and goes to the body and then reaches across to find him, they were going to intercept him. I think that deterred him a little bit to the body, although eventually he had a couple of decent body shots. I think in that late second, early third round, there was some good stuff. There was some jabs to the body, but he wasn't able to get a whole lot going. Again, Max playing a very good distance game, kind of entering the range on his terms a little bit more than I think Ilia was prepared for. And the volume overall of Max was a clear thing that was going pretty well for him. Not everything was landing consequential, but to the extent it could disrupt Ilia, you saw some evidence of that, to the extent that, by the way, he could counter over the top of the jab of Ilia. You saw some evidence of that as well. Again, cutting angles, not being where he needed him to be, fighting off the takedown. Dude, Max looked good. He didn't look bad. It was a close fight for as long as it lasted, up until that one big shot landed. But he fought pretty well. I mean, he fought really well, actually. I would have to say. He was able to put a little bit more numerical volume on him. He was able to move with general effectiveness. He was able to, up until the third round, stay out of the way of the big one, or at least, there was a couple times he would curl into the left side of Ilia Topuria and then keep that hand up so that he wouldn't run into it, and that saved him a couple times. I mean, there was a few of those shots that probably could have turned his lights out, but they didn't, because he had great defense. The problem is with Ilia, man, it's like all that stuff, kind of worked halfway in the first round. Some stuff got through, some hard shots got through in the second, but it wasn't, nothing really was making Max super, like he didn't rock Max and then Max had to get, so for example, like Dustin Poirier would land on him, right? And it would stun him, and then he would kind of be reeling, and then Poirier would kind of pour it on, you know what I mean? And so he'd have to follow. Ilia was never really able to land a whole lot like that up until the third. And then he landed that right hand over the top. And it looked to me, because you had Max with both hands out, and Ilia on the replay was going to hand trap. A hand trap is almost like when you're peeling the guard. So if someone has their hands here and then the opponent comes, you can, by the way, you can grab the glove in MMA, but obviously in boxing, what they tend to do is they tend to grab here and then pull, right? And then it comes across the top, and then they can score. You saw a fair amount of evidence of that, or at least in that particular one. And then you could see Max on the other side had his hand down. It looked to me like he was trying to parry or get, circle parry, or get obstruct something that was going to come to the body. And instead he came over the top. So I have to go and review the footage, but it looked to me like he had Max fooled a little bit from what he'd been throwing previously, which is, again, I don't know if it's the exact same combination as what he threw to put Volkanovski away, but that particular dimension of getting him used to going to the body, and then switching it up off the combo, and then changing the timing off the combo to then come up to the top. He did it. And I'll say this too, man. I was really wondering, like, is Ilia really going to be able to consistently find Max behind the black line? The Volkanovski KO behind the black line, Damon Jackson KO behind the black line. I mean, you can go on down the list. How many times did he drop Emmett? Almost all of them, I think, were behind the black line. The Bryce Mitchell fight. He dropped him, moving him behind the black line. Like, it's just where he does most of his work. Some guys can just drop you right in the middle. It looks like he needs a little bit of stepping through to get some momentum to really get the kind of shots he wants off. But once he does, it's a wrap. What I'm trying to point out is I wasn't sure he was going to consistently be able to do that. And he did do it a few times. Again, Max kind of saving himself a few times with good defense. But here was a great example. Like, you can't if you're going to beat Ilia Topuria, you cannot spend hardly any time operating there because it constrains your choices. Your choices are basically left or right. It's not so much forward, back, or cutting at different angles. Or it just there's so much more offensive and defensive options when you have space and real estate to move. When you don't, or you're backpedaling. And again, it's not just a function of putting them back there, but then changing the location of where people think it's coming, and then coming over the top and then absolutely fucking cracking them. And dude, if Max Holloway can't take your punch, I'm not sure I understand who can at 145 anyway. I don't really know who that would be. And then again, I can't overstate it enough. It looks like he just kind of fades over this way, but you go back and you look at the Volkanovski KO, he had him backed up and he kind of crashed into him. He then reset over here and then finished him off from there. And then that was the shot that put him off. So he is able to slightly reset the angle to finish while guys are still in transition to follow and turn. And that's what gives him these blinding shots that they just don't see coming. And that was the second shot. The first one, I think, was off the high-low and what he was anticipating. The second one was resetting the angle, and then Max was kind of facing this way, and then the punch comes over this way. I mean, if Max can see the punch coming and kind of can defend or roll with it, he's probably going to be okay, But if he doesn't even see it, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. That's going to be really, 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 really tough. I just don't know who can stand up to that punching power. Oh Jesus, my friends are killing me. Yeah, my friends are killing me about the what's the goal? Was it like 4-0? What is it? Yeah, 4-0. Fuck me. They smoked them. What are you gonna do? So there we are. I'm trying to go back to these stats, see if there's anything else to it that I can point to in this. I don't know. Let's see what Max is. Okay, so Max went 59-16-24. 59-16-24. What did he do against a very different opponent in Justin Gaethje? He went, 34-31. So he was really evenly distributing it. He was much more trying to go to the head on this one. And it was working until it wasn't. Or at least it was very competitive and good simply until it wasn't. Also, something to kind of note about like the BMF curse. It seems like everybody who fights for the BMF title gets like devastatingly finished after they win it. And I don't really believe in curses, but it's worth going through, right? So Jorge wins it, and then he gets battered, right? He loses it after beating Nate, right? That was kind of like the apex. Then let's see, you had Justin and Dustin fighting for it, and I think Dustin. What was he? No, I don't know. Sorry. Justin wins it, and then he gets battered by Max. Then Max wins it. And granted, this BMF title wasn't on the line, but then he gets battered for it afterwards. Like that's a tough act to follow, man. Like you had the biggest win of your career, not for all these guys, but like maybe the biggest win of Jorge's career. Not the biggest win of Max's career over Justin, but one of his best ones, one of the best KOs in UFC history. And certainly, Justin Gaethje getting revenge on Dustin Poirier and winning via head kick is pretty goddamn impressive. But that's a hard thing to maintain. That's a really tough thing to maintain. So it brings us to a point now where you have to ask, like, what's next for, frankly, both of these guys? I would say for Ilia, I don't know if he's going to be ready in time for UFC 312. That's a difficult thing to say. I don't know if the presser's going on and we'll get an answer to that. I really don't know. If he's not ready and the UFC wanted to do Volk versus Diego Lopez for a interim title, I don't know that it needs an interim title, but they'll probably put one on the line just because they believe that they need to do that to sell pay-per-views. Then, it's weird to have an interim title, but I'm just pointing out, if Volk wants to fight Diego Lopez, I'd be all in favor of it. I think that's fantastic. If they can do a Volk versus Ilia rematch that quickly, obviously that's fine too. But it seems to me if you're UFC, you need to strike while the iron is hot. Like, this is peak Ilia Topuria. You got to put this guy in Spain. They want to go to Spain. My understanding is they're having difficulty finding dates and venues for what they want to do. But that's there. And as a consequence, it's time. It's absolutely time to put that fight there. It's absolutely time to put the fight there. So I don't really know what's next. I know that Diego Lopez needs a fight. Volk needs a rematch. Movsar needs a fight. I think they're going to run the Sterling one back, depending, right? They're going to push that one back. So we'll see what happens with that one. But like they need to keep that division moving. I know that there's some questions for Ilia about should he fight Islam Makhachev. Listen, it's not that I don't think that fight could be fun. I think it could be fun. It's not that I don't think that fight is interesting. I do think it's interesting. But the problem for me is a couple of things. One, I'd actually rather see Islam fight the winner of Belal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov. I don't know if Islam and Belal would fight each other if Belal ends up winning. I guess we'll have to see about that. But on the other side, I also think that there's so much work to be done at 145. Movsar's kind of waiting around. You've got, obviously, Volk wanting for a rematch. Diego Lopez is due for something. Who knows what's going to happen with Aljamain Sterling comes shooting through the division, right? Max is probably going to want to get back out there relatively soon-ish, I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I feel like you've got work to do in that division. It's time to like, hey, like there's no need to rush a fight at 155. If there was like real beef between these guys, you could maybe argue in favor of that. But I don't hate a fight between Islam and Ilia. I don't hate a fight. But I don't think you have to make that now. I think it's much better to keep 45 moving. And if Islam really wants to challenge against another champion, instead of fighting another 45er because he fought Volk twice, he should be the one going up and taking on the winner of Muhammad and Rakhmonov. I think all of those would be fantastic. You can't go wrong. You really just can't go wrong with those. But again, if they decide to make Topuria and Makhachev, am I going to cry about it? Who's going to cry about it? I don't think anyone's going to cry about it. But it is what it is. Oh man, they lost 4-0. Good God, what a nightmare. So yeah, apparently Real Madrid and Barcelona played today, and Madrid got spanked. Oh my God, here's a picture of Whittaker's jaw. Yo, look at this. Oh, God. That is terrible. Yeah, no wonder. His jaw is, oh, my God. His front teeth are like, they fell out. His teeth don't match. Look at this. Look at this. Whittaker's teeth don't match the row. Look at that. Fucking yikes, bro. Well, no wonder why he tapped. When did that happen? Did he? I didn't even see him take any big punches. How did that happen? Oh, my God. All right. It's saying he should need to audition for a title shot like this is Contender Series. Who are we talking about? Okay. All right. Again, if you got a question and you want to put it into the live chat, we'll get to it here in just a minute. Let's take a look now at the co-main event. There's a lot to say, and there's also not a lot to say. I just showed you the picture. Khamzat Chimaev defeats Robert Whittaker. They're calling it a face crank. It was kind of an over-the-jaw, rear-naked choke. You can choke someone over the jaw. So folks think that over the jaw is just pressure on the jaw, and it can be that. It can be that plus a choke. So you can actually do a couple of things. Also, you can put people out with the choke so that like even if they don't tap to the face crank, the choke can put them out. It really all depends on how you do it. Nevertheless, this particular case, they're calling it a face crank because it did not look like it was threatening his ability to breathe or it was cutting off any way the carotid. But at 3:34 of round number 1, and Chimaev did what Chimaev freaking always does. Low level change, shoots through, gets the takedown, or at a bare minimum gets to the legs, can't quite get the takedown, kind of pulls him off of his base a little bit, but then once they defend, He then goes right to the body lock, and then it's a wrap basically from there. He was pushing him through the paces, trying to get behind him. There was a couple times he nearly got to the back. One time he missed the back, and then Whittaker was able to come out the backside, and then you thought, okay, Whittaker's going to be able to re-engage. They're going to go back on the feet. And then Khamzat was right back on top of him. Right back on top of him. Hold on just 1 second. I got to send a note to my wife. Hold on. Okay. He goes right to the back. As I mentioned, Whittaker escapes one time, then he's right back on him. And there was once where he pulls him off. He got cross wrist control and then same side wrist control, yanks him off of his base, forces him to his shoulder, right? Forces him to his shoulder. And then you could see he almost moved to mount. Whittaker gives the back up again, which I thought actually made sense because you don't want Khamzat just like raining punches down on you from mount. I'd rather give it the back, and then you could fight the hands. You can go 2-on-1, right, which he was trying to do, and then put it on the outs, put the ear on the outside of the back of the lat. But the problem is, even when he was doing that, he was getting punched from the other side. He eventually loses control of that. Then the left hand sneaks through right over the jaw, and then it cranks him, and then he immediately taps. As I mentioned, if you didn't join me during we were watching the fights themselves, it is very, 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 very unusual for someone to immediately tap to a face crank, right? Typically what you see with a rear naked choke, someone can slap on a super tight one, and sometimes you can see an immediate tap. With the jaw, they usually have to get it right in position. And again, there's a couple ways you can finish it. You can pull down and back. You can kind of pull. You can jack it to a side, right? Like a J hook and then like a turn. And you can there's ways to just both crush the jaw as well as to get the choke, or some variety of the two, or one more than the other. So there's options no matter what. But the point I'm trying to make here is that whatever happened, if you see someone immediately tap to a face crank, something went wrong. Like that's just not something you see. It takes a second for that to really be applied. Again, in some kind of down and back way, if that's the variety you're looking for, right? That down and back, that takes a second to like kind of weave into position to get. And he tapped immediately and then went down and was like, and not just tapped immediately. Like he didn't just go da 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 da. He was like aggressively tapping, which meant that he was probably in real pain. Then I saw when he stood up, he kind of showed his jaw. I don't know when that happened, but that is like, I mean, that's extensive dental surgery. Look at this fucking thing. Do I have it here one more time? Look at this goddamn thing. This is insane. Hold on. MMA Mania is where I saw this. Yeah, look at this. Dude, what the fuck is this? Look at that. That's nuts. When did that happen? That is extensive dental surgery he's going to have to get. They're going to have to take these teeth and then rewire them through the front. Did Khamzat do that? Did he have a pre-existing injury? I remember he had dental surgery, but I thought that was for stuff like molars in the back. I didn't think it was anything related to the front of his mouth. I don't know. I don't know if there's any connection to any previous medical or dental issue he may have had. Whatever the case, yeah, if your mouth is like that, then you can't withstand the pain of that choke at all. That was probably like excruciating to deal with. Absolutely horrible. So I really feel for him. And it brings us to a point where it's like we had major questions about Khamzat. And the reality is we didn't get answers to a lot of them. We did get some. I think there were some who thought he looked really bad. Remember, he was the last to weigh in. This was a guy who used to make 170 no problem. Then he makes 185, but didn't even make 185. He only made 186. Remember, for championship weight, he will not have a 1 pound allowance. It's like, how are you going to handle? Okay, I mean, he made it. He had a really, like, not to borrow from all the trends, but he had a very demure attitude, kind of quiet. People were making jokes about him because he grew his hair out and he seemed more soft spoken. And he still fought with intensity. Like, he still did Khamzat things, but he didn't seem as aggro. He seemed intense and focused, but not as aggro. But the things we were hoping that Whittaker would give us is, okay, drag this one late, and then let's see what he looks like. I mean, this one didn't even make it to 4 fucking minutes. 3:34 of round number 1. 3:34 of round number 1. 3:34. It didn't even get late. So I'm not even sure really what to say about it. Except Khamzat, for the amount of time that we saw him, looked fantastic. He looked composed, eager, willing to do and ready to do what he wanted and needed to do. He controlled Whittaker in a way that I've never seen Whittaker controlled. This is not Yoel Romero, who, yes, in pure freestyle wrestling would probably, in his prime, certainly would smash Khamzat Chimaev. That's not what this is. He didn't have the same kind of control and the grappling prowess that Khamzat does. Khamzat has the leg rides and the Turks, and he can make an opponent work from turtle and can wrestle you to your hands and then actually take the back and then threaten submissions, as you saw. That's just not the kind of thing that Yoel Romero is even remotely capable of doing, and Khamzat is. So you knew he was a bit of a unique threat. And we saw this with all of his opponents, and in particular the last one, Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman was able to kind of withstand and hold on and not really make it work. And I'm wondering now, like, if Whittaker doesn't have that injury, like, how does this one go? We don't know. I don't know, because, like, obviously, I mean, Usman took that fight on short notice, and he was able to get through it and, turn it into a stand-up affair, and then, like, made a pretty decent account of himself. And obviously Whittaker is, one of the best middleweights of the modern era, and, couldn't withstand it. Again, the injury is just going to make that very, very difficult. I don't know. You didn't get a lot of, you got some answers. Like, was he certainly avoided anything even approximating like some of the more objectively negative projections about what he was going to do. He was far in excess of that. But nevertheless, you just didn't get a sense of like, okay, well, what happens if Whittaker is able to put it back and it goes to round 4 and 5? I mean, we just didn't even get close to that. So in that sense, it's something of a semi-missed opportunity. However, it now brings up a really interesting question, which is what you do with Khamzat next. Again, I don't know if anything has changed and he's able to come into the States. He had 2 of Ramzan Kadyrov's children as his cornermen. I don't know what that's going to do for any association with Ramzan Kadyrov. I don't know what that's going to do for him trying to enter the United States. I really don't know. I don't know what that's going to mean, or any other place for that matter. I just don't know what the rules are, or if there's going to be any change, or again, depending on what happens with the presidential election here in the United States in November, then ultimately January, when it'll be a new president either way, gets sworn in. If obviously there has been some suggestion, if it's Donald Trump and he returns, he might introduce a more favorable regulatory climate to this kind of thing, which case problem solved, or maybe something else has already changed. We just don't know. So like there's something up in the air about all of this. I guess we're going to have to see. But it seems like giving him a fresh shot, giving DDP a fresh challenger in Khamzat, seems like it could be really fun, really different. Again, it's just hard to know how much of what went wrong against Whittaker. I mean, obviously what went wrong against him had a massive effect on the fight. What I'm asking is, maybe Khamzat really has cleaned up some of his problems when he goes to the 3rd or 4th, or God forbid, even 5th round. Maybe he actually has cleaned up, and we just don't know. But I'm hoping he can get someone who can tell us the answer to that. I will tell you, the fight I actually want to see the most, if I can just be honest, this doesn't work for the division, so whatever. I'd actually love to see Khamzat versus Sean Strickland. I think that one would be very, very interesting, because they've got training experience together. Sean Strickland is a very, very experienced fighter. He's got really good takedown defense. You know what I mean? Like, he's hard to overwhelm. I think the modern version of him is very, very hard to overwhelm. Like, there's a lot you can do with that. So that'd be kind of interesting. But I wonder how you guys feel. Who do you think deserves the title shot? Do you think it's Sean Strickland, who, again, I didn't think he beat DDP in real time. Then upon subsequent review, I was like, he might have had a case for it. Or conversely, do you think that Khamzat Chimaev, after beating Whittaker just like so quickly, he should be put to the front of the line? I think if they can find a way to make it work, I would rather see Chimaev face DDP. I'd rather see a fresh contender for DDP, and especially the kind of unique challenge that we think Chimaev is. That seems to me a lot more fun, but what they'll do, I don't know. As for Robert Whittaker, I don't know where he goes from here. That is, first of all, a devastating injury. That is a devastating, terrible, terrible injury. Also, this kind of felt like the last stand to get back to the title. Now, maybe it's not that. Maybe he could fill in on short notice for somebody. Maybe he can stay ready. But first of all, that's going to take some time to heal, like the dental part. And then he didn't take like a huge beating, but obviously that's a significant injury. And then from there, it's like, it just kind of felt like the window to really get back in a title fight it went through this particular contest. And this going the way that it did, I just don't see him in a title fight ever again. Again, there could be a last-minute circumstance or whatever, but I have a hard time believing he's going to be able to march through enough contenders for that to happen. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know. He's one of the best guys at middleweight to do it. Former champion, consummate professional. I got BC kind of talked me into his chances, but that was, you just can't overcome an injury like that. I don't know when that happened. We'll get more information about it. I'm only working live on air, but that probably is the end of his title hopes in all likelihood, right? I just don't know what's going to be next to get back. But one never knows. The fight game is insane. And I never thought we'd get back here with Max, and certainly he gets a win over Justin Gaethje, and then bam, look at that. You're in a new position. So it seems like that's probably not the end of his career or anything, but the end of him being able to get close to a title fight at 185, absent some kind of unusual circumstance, which is certainly unfortunate for him. All right, at light heavyweight, Magomed Ankalaev defeats Aleksandar Rakic 29-28. Listen, this was not a bad fight. There was nothing bad about this fight. There was nothing bad about it. It wasn't bad. And Ankalaev is pretty clearly the guy at 205 pounds who should be fighting Poatan next. I also take Ankalaev as, he hasn't been champion, but I think head-to-head he's better than, I can't prove this, it's just my opinion, he's better than Khalil Rountree. It's my opinion he's better than Jamal Hill, and I think he'd probably beat Yuri as well, although that's a little harder to say because Yuri's crazy and takes risks, and, it can be a little bit thing. But, skill for skill, I think he's more skilled than those guys. I'll put it that way. But at the same time, this was not like an overwhelming, proof of concept. His body of work at this point is undeniable. If he doesn't get the title shot, who the hell would, right? I mean, I don't even know who it would be at this point. So it's got to be him. And he fought competently. I thought he did a good job for the most part trying to limit Rakic from, Rakic was on the move a lot, but he wasn't able to weaponize it very effectively. In other words, he wasn't pulling Ankalaev into situations and then cracking him as a result, right? He was kind of stopping and then going, on the move again, stopping and going. He wasn't using the motion itself to set up strikes, which is a different level of motion. But either way, he did a good job for the most part, and certainly avoiding the worst of what Rakic had to offer. He had good defense on the head kicks. He was able to land pretty consistently. Nothing too big. It got better over the second and third round. He had a decent jab. He had a good check hook he was landing at times. Again, he avoided any big strikes from Rakic. He really made Rakic hesitant. Rakic has this thing where he wants to engage and then pull straight back. And he was getting clipped for it, so he kind of stopped doing it, or he limited it rather than throwing and then rolling under. And again, you can't always roll under in MMA because the opponent might have great knees, or there's a lot of different things you can get hit off of that. But not so much against Ankalaev. I'm not saying Ankalaev couldn't take advantage of somebody who was especially heavy rolling underneath, but at the same time, it's he's not super good about that. To me, it's one of the big weaknesses of Rakic's game, because if you're going to use that much movement and you're going to use the kicking, that's pretty cool. He did a lot with that, but then you're not really weaponizing the other parts of the motion itself, and then you're having to lunge and then come straight out. You're going to get clipped doing that. You have to lunge and then go for the takedown, or not lunge, but step in and then cover coming back, or roll underneath, or just do something other than pulling straight back. And he was doing that a lot, so it kind of limited what he could do. So it wasn't a poor showcase from Aleksandar Rakic. It wasn't an overwhelming showcase from Magomed Ankalaev. It was fine. It was fine. I guess the only point I would make about it is, did you watch this fight and think, aha, that's the guy to beat Poatan? MMA is crazy. Certainly you wouldn't want to dismiss Ankalaev's chances. I just didn't get the overwhelming feeling that was him. You know what I mean? That's the guy. That's the guy that's going to do it. I didn't get that feeling. I got the feeling that he's probably the best contender available. He's done more than enough to earn a title shot. He fought competently, fought well. He fought well. Didn't appear overly dangerous. didn't appear overly compromised. He fought just a good, solid fight against a good, solid contender, and he won. I don't know what else to say about it beyond that. We didn't see much wrestling from him. There's some defensive wrestling by relative to what Rakic was doing. So we just didn't get a sense of like how their wrestling is going to match up with Poatan. You know what I mean? So there you go. Lerone Murphy and Dan Ige. This fight, by the way, goes to unanimous decision. He wins. Lerone Murphy 29-28 on both judges' scorecards. Ige drops him in the first. Murphy got back to business in the second using so many different weapons. It was great. It was amazing, too. There was one point where he tried to sit up off of octopus guard, and Ige rolled through and was able to come back on top. It was just like, so these guys so talented. And the third round was very close. It seemed to me the difference was Murphy had Murphy had better damage, and that was enough in the end to get the job done. So if you had given it to Ige, I don't think that's a problem. I feel bad for Ige because he's so talented. But this was a good fight. No one was paying attention to because both guys are like kind of quiet and like really nice and like really talented, but not, well, Dan Ige is a knockout threat, but you know, they're not like hardcore fan favorites, even though I have such respect for both of their games. This was a great fight. A great fight. The crowd was quiet, but it was really, really good. I think Lerone Murphy at this point is definitely entitled to some top 10. I don't know how much further, 6, 7, or 8. He's entitled to someone along that level. He is so skilled. Bit of a rough run to begin with, but he's got so many different weapons. Very athletic, quick, good decision-making, well-rounded, just a lot of ability along the way. And then lastly on the main card, Shara Bullet defeating Armen Petrosyan with one of the most insane knockouts I've ever seen. A spinning back fist this way, which was blocked, and then waiting a beat. He doesn't go bop, bop. He actually goes bop, waits a second, and then goes back with the other one and KOs him. Now, if you heard any of my pre-fight talk about Shara Bullet, I was like, he's obviously good. There's no question he's good. But I've questioned some of his decision-making, sometimes around pressure, and as well as takedown defense and grappling. And I still think we didn't get a great answer to that. My biggest problem was you knew Petrosyan was going to be like action-oriented with him, and you got that. Like, that was fine. But my major issue is that Petrosyan never feints him. And I even tweeted it before Cormier said it. I'm like, dude, he's not even tweeting. He's not even feinting. He's just jousting. They're just jousting. Dude, if someone is jousting you, you can time them. You can time them. You can see what they're doing. And then you can figure out which strike, you want to go with, right hand over the top, uppercut, whatever you want. Whatever makes sense for that. And he just kept doing that. And I was like, well, dude, I mean, there's a first minute or half, more than that, maybe first 2 minutes, Armen Petrosyan landed some really good shots. He had him backed up, and that was fine. So credit to Shara Bullet. Withstood the pressure, was able to maintain range. They both had a pretty dynamic kicking game. Shara Bullet, a little bit quicker, it seemed like, a little bit better reactive decision-making. And then, he kind of settled into the fight, and by the middle of the second round, he was really kind of in trouble. And then Petrosyan had good defense on this side, and they got hit from the other one. There was no way. I mean, that was just a really, really clever shot. So let me say this. That was definitely a very impressive KO from Shara Bullet. I take my metaphorical hat off. Super respectable, super, super, super commendable, very, very slick. But we didn't get a whole lot of answers from somebody who's going to feint him, and we didn't get a lot of answers about takedown defense and or grappling and or the ability to sustain that against anybody good. Granted, it's middleweight, so maybe we won't get a lot of answers to that for quite some time, but if ever. But I don't know. I kind of felt like there's no denying how awesome the KO was. The KO was sick. That's maybe KO of the year, just in terms of like uniqueness. I mean, that was really cool. But it was against an opponent who was just jousting with him. Like, you're not getting great answers off of that. However, he did what he was supposed to do, Shara Bullet, and he did it with style. I tip my cap. That was very, 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 very incredible and effective. No doubt about it. All right. If you've got questions, I've got answers. Let's see what you guys have in mind. I'd love to take a look. Again, one more time here, folks. I'll do it at the end. Let's go to these comments. Let's go to these questions. All right, hold on. Some of these are from the fight itself. Cody, what in the absolute F is on Max's right side? Did he have like a mark on that side from getting touched up? I don't remember. Okay, how did you score? I have it 1-1 after 2 rounds. If this keeps up to the 5th, it might be a split decision, right? 1-1, I think is fine. It was either 1-1 or 2-0 Max. I don't think you could go 2-0 Ilia. Great fight, hard to score. Max might be up. Yep. Again, Barcelona winning 4 just fucking kills me. What are you going to do? Not a Dick says, have we seen this many oblique kicks from Max before? So he landed 2 of those in that 3rd round, I think, or the 2nd round. Some of that, not totally. eBay, this is the best boxing the UFC has to offer. It was a great show of boxing, for sure. Alex, OMF and G. Yeah. Lucky super sticker. I can't see the super sticker, but sure enough, there it is. Never mind my last message, LOL, about going to the 5th. Yeah. Here's 2 Chags, who picked Max, but, you know, I thought Whittaker might have a chance over Khamzat. Impressive AF. Yeah, no kidding. Little Spidey Boy, thanks for the donation. Never mind, oblique kicks overrated, but that's not what got Max in trouble. Luke, hope you are enjoying El Clasico the same way. 4-0, and then Barca, blah, blah, blah. Eat shit. But thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Danny on the gas says, a fan of both, but I'll be tuning out now since Luke is going to go into a Topuria haters rant like a child. Yes, but thank you for the donation. Also, I don't really feel like I did that, but thank you. That Mountain says, I called it. You might have. You certainly might have. Take a draw of that mango strawberry vape. Yeah, I haven't had one. Here we go. Ready? There we go. Delicioso. Gigi says, what did I say? Middle of the 3rd. Genuinely just lost my mind. And then Maddle says, told you all the feels. Dude, watching Max like that was hard. I was not prepared for that. I was absolutely not prepared for that at all. That was tough. Obviously, we'd never seen him like that, right? That was tough. Dale says, damn, Topuria is going to bring even more new kinds of racists from... For folks listening on the audio platform eventually, damn, Topuria is going to bring in even more new kinds of racists from Spain into MMA. Spain has a racism problem. There's no denying. Kevbot.org says, Ilia has got to move up, man. He's too damn powerful for 45. No, he's got work to do. He's got work to do. I don't know if he beats all those guys either, by the way. 915 says, amazing finish to this card. Ilia is just undeniable, man. No matter how many swords Max put in that bull, he just kept coming. That was cool by Max when he did the Matador thing. No, that was pretty cool. Aqua Buddha says, what is crazy to me is that I would still guess that Max is the better striker. If the power was ever so slightly less of a factor, Max would have kept picking him apart for the rest of the fight. I don't think that's crazy. But also, don't sleep on Ilia's. Yes, the power is great, but like just the little nuances of the finish itself are spectacular. Dale, thank you, my friend. Alejandro says, the torch has officially been passed, beating both Volk and Max in dominant fashion. Yeah, it's a new era of featherweight, man. Like you're on top for just a little bit, and when it's gone, it's fucking hard to get back, man. Cosmo, neither Poirier or Gaethje could do that to Max. Granted, both of those were at 55, and this was at 45. I do wonder to what extent some of the cut might have played a role, but, you know, Max doesn't make excuses. KB Sutton says, I'm a huge Topuria fan because the first time I saw him, which was the second UFC fight, I knew he would be a champ. He is possibly the best MMA fighter pound for pound I've ever seen. Okay, I'm a Topuria guy, but like even that's a little strong. Although he is very, very good, and he's going to climb in the pound for pound rankings. For sure. Oops. I think it stings so hard because Max is like the little train that could. I wanted so bad for this to be his moment, but Ilia is too damn powerful. I think that's about right. Dale, thank you very much. Nick, thank you very much. 9:15 a.m. says, the UFC's newest solidified international star. This is going to be big for him. No doubt about it. He is going to go into a different level after this. Macamat says, oh my God, if you didn't believe it before, believe it now. Topuria is the truth, a monster. If I could play God, I'm definitely making Prime Connor versus Topuria. That would be a sick fight. No one has ever hit as hard as them at 145. That'd be sick. GJ Brass, you can't retain the BMF belt if you get KO'd. I think you can. I think Max should defend it at 55. Jeff says, please do a watch along of the Thirst Trap Jesus movie they kept advertising on this card. It looks terrible. It's probably the worst movie ever made. Well, no, sorry, that's Phantom Menace, but it's probably right behind it. Eric says, damn, I picked Max, Luke. I'm typing this feeling the same way as you, emotional. Wasn't expecting to see Max that way either. Legend. Yeah, dude, when he was laying there and like looking dejected, Jesus, I had a moment right here. I was struggling. This Hugh fellow wants me to read his last name. I won't, but thank you for the donation. E says, more happy for Ilia or sad for Max? Both in equal measure, maybe. I'm not sure. Initially, I was really happy for Ilia, and then seeing Max like that kind of threw cold water on it, if I can be honest. Haley says, I know it was under 5 minutes, but did you see any improvement in Chimaev's pacing? It seemed as if he was maintaining control without blowing his wad. Good question. A little, yes. Yes, he seemed aggro, but like instead of an 11, closer to like an 8 or a 9. But 3.5 minutes, it's hard to tell. The second round would have been a better gauge of that, right? I mean, I think you're onto something. Well, we still would have need to see another frame to really know. OG MacG says, how do you think Lopez would fare against Topuria? I think he's a super dangerous fight because obviously you can't take that one to the ground without him being a big problem. He's got fast hands. He'll take risks. Ilia is hittable. That's the thing, right? He's hittable. I think Ilia's got better skills and better power for sure, and that should win out. But I think Lopez is a dangerous, dangerous fight for him or Volk, whoever takes it. Clive says, seems like a crime they ever let Bryce Mitchell fight him now. I mean, that's where they were at contenders, right? I mean, and Bryce had some decent moments in that fight too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, in the end, it went the way it went. Kieran says, is this the best single year by a fighter ever? No. John Jones getting 4 against legends. Here, let me show you John Jones's year. And like, you know, I'm looking forward to UFC 309 being over so we can just get rid of like this bullshit fight he's trying to be involved in. But just look at this. Just look at this. This is the best year by a fighter. I'm not saying ever, but one of the best ones I've ever seen. Look at John's 2011. Let me take this off the screen. Hold on. Which one is this? Look at this. 2011, he beats Ryan Bader. This was a number 1 contender fight. Then he beats Shogun a month later to win the title and demolishes him. Then in September, he beats Rampage. I was there for that one at the Pepsi Center. Then at the end of the year, he sends Lyoto Machida crashing to his face with a rear naked choke. He finished all 4 of them, Bader, Shogun, Rampage, and Lyoto, all in a single year to capture the title, to win the number 1 contender, win the title, and then defend it 2 more times. So 4 fights. 4 fights he was able to do that. That is okay. Ilia's year was great. Poatan's year was great. That's fucking elite. That's the next goddamn level. That is absurd what he pulled off that year. So, you know, John, not my favorite guy, but that you can't take that from him. You just can't. You absolutely can't take that from him. Anil says, hey, I was earlier in the week going to ask you how Chimaev training with Buvasar Satiev, this amazing wrestler, is going to help. Looks like I got my answer. Yeah, he looked good. He looked good. He didn't look like he had done anything super new, but it looked so fluid, so clean. Nothing was forced, you know. I mean, he's forcing with physical will, but strategically, everything seemed real smooth. Kevbot, I truly have no interest in watching Ilia versus anyone else in the division. I think the Islam fight is probably one of the 2 super fights the UFC has. I think you guys are sleeping on how dangerous Diego Lopez is. I think that fight is very interesting. A second fight with Volk, I don't hate it. It's Volk. But I think Diego Lopez is a dangerous, dangerous fight. I disagree. It's not that I hate the Islam fight, but I think people are really underestimating Diego Lopez here a little bit. Vince says, all 3 fighters who won the BMF belt lost the following fight. Yeah, we talked about that. No doubt about it. This donk. Dos pulgas, that's 2 fleas, and un perro. Two fleas in a dog. What's up now, our American peeps? Is Max the one who is going to humble Topuria? Did he win? Yeah, this is what I was trying to say. People were like, oh, he beat Volk because Volk came back too quickly. Dude, Volk was never going to stand up to that punching power. He was never going to stand up to that punching power. It was not going to be possible. And I don't think it's going to be possible in the second fight either. Alex says, this is so hard to watch with Max because he was attempting something so hard and so rare and looked so good. Ilia was just better and will send anyone to the land of wind and ghosts with that power. There's no question. He's fucking tough, man. Diego Lopez gets knocked out in the first round. He could. I think he could also give. I think, man, you guys are sleeping on Diego. Diego's good. Achilles says, Luke, as a Marine combat vet, I'm with you. I'm in complete shock that Ilia knocked him out, but you cannot deny him now. It sucks to see Max go. Max will be back. But yeah, that's a tough one. Marlo says, why are you dressed like my grandfather? Probably because I'm the same age. You know what I mean? Probably because I'm the same age. The bad guy says, I doubt that's actually Chael. Who do you think is the pound for pound one right now? And how do you think Ilia versus Islam goes? I think Islam is probably a little too big for him and can wrestle him and wear him out. I don't know that, obviously. Pound for pound number one. Let's look up the rankings so I don't just make up some bullshit here. So as they stand today, let's take a look at the pound for pound rankings. I'll take this off the screen. Let's take a look very quickly if we can. Here are the rankings. 1 is Makhachev, 2 is Poatan, 3 Jones. Ilia was sitting at 4, and he beat 10 and 11, and he finished them both. I don't know if this is enough. Yeah, he could leapfrog. That's interesting. I'd have to think about that for a second. Here's the thing. This is what I mean about Poatan. Poatan didn't beat anybody else on the pound for pound list. Topuria stopped 2 of them. You see what I mean? Like, is it hard to do what Poatan did this year? Insanely. He's the fucking man. Poatan is the man. It's not an argument about how bad Poatan is. It's the opposite of that. Poatan is the man. But if we're trying to really assess greatness and the levels of it, Topuria just finished off 2 of the guys in the top 10, one a guy in the top 10, but the other one at 11. I mean, you got to give him his props. What does this put him? It probably, I think it puts him ahead of Jones. And I think it probably, I might put him ahead of Pereira as well. I think it probably puts him number 2 right behind Islam. Hard to say. I don't know if it puts him number 1. I have to really think about it. But it probably it helps him leapfrog Poatan and Jones in my book. I'll say that at a bare minimum. Lee Zhao says Emmett has more raw power, but Ilia has the technique. Yeah, I mean, you saw that in the fight, right? I mean, dude, Emmett has nuclear power, but he doesn't have the same level of refinement. Larry Bird, Max was touching him up. Max was on his way out. Chill. You mean out of the sport, or I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Yeah, dude, we're giving. Where in the broadcast did I say Max was doing poorly? We're giving Max his props, but it wasn't like he was killing Ilia. They were close, and then Ilia has the touch of death. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. Alan W says beating both Volk and Max is like Lennox Lewis beating Tyson and Holyfield. Yeah, it's a lot better than beating guys not on the pound for pound list. I don't know how people are like confused about this. Jaden, thank you for the donation. Michael says, who would you pick as Ilia's next 3 opponents? Okay, if I had my way, Diego Lopez. Well, winner of Diego Lopez and Volk. Winner of Aljamain and Movsar. And then he can move up after that if he wants. OG MacG says, Max did hard sparring and training for this fight, which seems unusual for him. Do you think he contributed in some fashion to the way he lost here? Maybe. Can't rule it out. Can't rule it out. But I think that Ilia's power and accuracy and rhythm is too much for anybody at 145, I think. Lee, should Max, Israel, and Alex and Rob retire? So should Holloway, Izzy, Volk, and Rob retire? No, they should not. But I don't think that Izzy and Rob have too much longer, and neither Volk. Max, I think, has a little bit of life left for sure. Alan W. Question is it over for both Max and Bobby Knuckles? It's definitely over for Bobby as a title contender. It's probably over for Max as a title contender, except for BMF. These were decisive losses. There's a cost to be paid to losing. Not just like not that there's just an L on your record, like the physical toll of it. It's big. Relevant username says, I haven't felt this bad since Anderson's leg broke. Ooh. That's a good call. Yeah, this was bad. I didn't enjoy seeing Max suffering. Alan W. Better 145 KO power, Connor or Ilia? I'd say Ilia, but I wish we had a way to find out because I don't. That's the question. I wish we had a way to find out. John says, shout out to your Easter shirt, dog. Thank you, my friend. Charade says, was on the Ilia bandwagon as early as the Ryan Hall fight. The manufactured trash talk annoyed me, but holy fuck, is he undeniable at this point? There can be no doubt. It is who he is, boys and girls. He is the one. The realness says, I hope Ilya's barber screws up his next haircut. Yeah, I know some people aren't going to be too happy about it. What are you going to do? Kevbot.org says, Madden curse or BMF curse? Which is worse? It's got to be BMF, dude, because you get smashed afterwards. Holy shit. Joshua says, Connor tweeted, call me. Ariel saying it would be the biggest fight. I'm not interested, but do you think UFC would and could make that at the Bernabeu? Could they? Yes. Would they? No. But I'd love to see Connor versus Ilia. I think Ilia would fuck him up proper. By the way, do you remember when they wanted Ilia to fight Patty? And I called that a mismatch? Yeah, that's a mismatch. Hugh says, Diego got jammed. Volk getting next shot. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Ray says, I assume you've seen the pictures of Whittaker's teeth. I just showed them to you guys. Whittaker had surgery for a mouth abscess right before the Ikram fight. That might be it. Yeah, that was what I was wondering as well. Brandon says, Max will always be the people's champ. About that, there can be no denial. That will never change. That will absolutely never change. Yes, we know, motherfucker. We know. Beef says, is it time to draw parallels between Ilia and Connor? Maybe. I don't think Ilia, there's always been parallels between Ilia and Connor. People have been saying Ilya's been borrowing from Connor. If you're going to borrow from someone, it might as well be him. There have the tattoos, the kind of the chest piece, the one on the back that's taking the belt, like all that stuff. He's been doing it the whole time, and now stylistically, but I think he's got a different style, but I think he's kind of got like this hunched kind of, sort of style of boxing. But I think he's a 2.0 version. We Don't Fight podcast. How much money does the UFC need to throw at Sean Strickland to get him to fight Izzy in Australia? I don't think they want him to fight Izzy in Australia, given all the sort of controversy he caused with his comments last time. Duronimer says, we'll see how Bo Nickel develops, but does Boers have the best MMA wrestling at middleweight? From what we can tell, yes. But there are still big unanswered questions. But from what we can tell, yes. Ryan says, do you think Topuria is catching legends on the end similar to Jones? Guys, people keep saying this like it's some kind of fucking indictment. He didn't beat Volk after somebody else beat him. He took the belt off of Volk. I couldn't stand this fucking argument when people were making it about Shogun. They're like, oh, Shogun was washed. How the fuck was he washed? He had the goddamn belt when Jones beat him. What are we talking about? Is Volk a little bit older? Yes. But Volk look at, where was Volk before the Ilia fight? On top of the fucking world. He wasn't like already in decline and then Ilia got to him. He got him at the fucking top. That's the cycle of life in fighting. The new eat the old. But they have to do it at this one precise moment. This is how it goes. This is the life cycle of fighting. And this is why people get on me. They're like, I get joked about like, oh, I gave up on Izzy and I gave up on Max. No, I didn't. I was touting Izzy before a lot of people were. That's why he reposted some of my breakdowns being like, so many of you denied how good he was. I wasn't one of them. And then he's in decline. I'm like, well, he's obviously in decline now. People are like, oh, you're abandoning him. No, motherfucker, you were late to the party both before and after. You don't last long at the top. Not you, sir. I'm saying the person asking the question. I'm the proverbial you out there. People are slow to pick up on how good people are, and then they hang on to them long after, like they're on the downside. And I'm not abandoning them per se, but I'm like obviously recognizing there are new talents there. Pick up the pace. Catch them on the way up, not when it's already up here and now it's too late. That's why the EA curse is not really a curse. It's a reflection of by the time someone gets to the point where they can be on the cover of the video game, they're headed for a decline because it takes so fucking long to get there. You got to catch them a little bit beforehand and start appreciating them there. Not wait till they get here. Oh, now he's good. Yeah, bitch, everyone can see that. You got to catch them early. So, like, I really resent this shit where people are like, oh, forget about me. Oh, well, Ilya's beating them when they're old. He beat them at the top of their fucking game. They were that good even up to age 35. What are we talking about? Jean says, any interest in Topuria's brother, Alexander? I'm not sure how you pronounce it relative to the Brazilian kind. Increased for me after learning he planned and coached Ilia into the Volk KO. Sure, I don't know that I've ever seen two brothers who were equally good, but yeah, I'm curious. Jean says, Rob and Max out in the same day, killing myself. Be right back. I think a lot of folks feel that way, understandably. GJ says, Topuria was up 2-0, 2-0, 1-1 on the cards. Wow. That's surprising. Jesus. Good info here. Okay, 1-1 I can see. Him up being 2, I was like, word? I mean, they were close. Yes, I can see that. And he had like bigger power. So sitting cage side, who knows how it felt to them, right? You know what I mean? I can see that. I thought it was probably closer to 1-1. Kevbot says the image of John Jones dropping Wichita's laughless body is still burned into my brain. That was the same day as Lamont Peterson versus Amir Khan. I was watching it on press row. I couldn't believe it. Lars Lornoth says, seems there was a theme with Whittaker and Max getting their moment and then it crashing down. Your thoughts on the parallel? It's just hard, dude. Once you get your fucking title taken from you, I cannot overstate to you how hard it is to get it back. It just doesn't happen for the vast majority. And like, who has done it at 155 and below? You know, Randy Couture did it. Okay. And then Amanda Nunes did it at 145, but that's like, you know, that's the heaviest weight, or 135. That's like the heaviest weight division that they have. And she's the all-time best to ever do it. Like, dude, it's fucking hard. It's hard. This is what I mean. People wait to celebrate guys once they're already on top. Don't fucking do that. Guys, one of the best times to be a UFC fan is not when they are champion. That can be fun too. Sometimes that can be the most fun, I agree. But to me, the most interesting time of a fighter's career is on their way up. When Khabib was on his way up, when Ilia was on his way up, when John Jones was on his way up. When these fucking guys are on their way up, stand back and just take notice. And people who are late to the party, they're going to be late on the other end too. That when those guys are in inexorable decline, they're now still invested in them, even though there's new talent coming through and they're ready to push them out. You got to get on it earlier. You got to get on it earlier. It gives you more time to appreciate their greatness when they're showing it to you. Don't deny it when they're showing it to you. Gene says, I think Rob got his teeth squeezed like that because his mouth was agap when Khamzat sank in the choke, focusing the crank on his lower teeth. Yeah, I mean, but dude, I've never seen someone's like whole shit get like crunched like that. Jackson says, Dana White says Merab versus Umar is absolutely next. Good. I've been really kind of like not liking how Merab has been handling this, so I'm happy to see that. Super Steroid says, W, this performance is very likely Alex KO's Ankalaev. Probably so. Cedric, thank you for the donation. MMA Flacco says, for my first video, which was ass, I call Ilia round 3 KO. I think Ilia beats most 155ers as well. Again, same question. Who hits harder, 145 Connor or Ilia? That's a tough call. I don't know. I tend to think maybe Ilia, but I don't know. I don't know. It's one of them two. I mean, it's nobody else in that conversation. Michael says, why do you think Dana is so comfortable lying about Francis? He just dogged him again at the conference. 3 years ago, his narrative on Jones and Francis was swapped because he's hurt that Francis went somewhere else and wants to like seek out retribution on him. It's not very complicated, is it? Right? Michael says, 145 has the best lineup of champions since being made in the UFC. Alpho, Max, Volk, Topuria. The division is historically elite. Yeah, I mean, it's Aldo. Yes, Aldo, Max, Volk, Topuria. It's ridiculous. I mean, all of those guys. And then don't forget, obviously, Connor's in there too. Jake says, I saw Whittaker spit a tooth out on the walkout. I need to see proof of that. I hope that's not real. Ray Glenn says, Ilia is just special. Not to be caught up in the moment, but I think we're looking at the future featherweight GOAT. I don't think that's off the table, boys and girls. He finished Volk and Max in the same fucking year. Kevbot says, I'll say, as a lifelong boxing fan, Ilia probably has the best boxing movement in the sport. He slips and his feet placement is fantastic. Yes, it's up there. There's not many guys who can do what he does. Zach says, if you're advising Max, where does he go from here? 55. 55. That cut looks bad. He'll make it. He'll make it. But he's got the 55 BMF title, so to speak. I think he should go back there. I think he can beat a lot of those guys, but take fights that are winnable, you know? Hugh says, say my name, Luke. No, I don't do fuck games. Michael says, forgot McGregor. Yes, he's in there as well. Mo says, do you think ranked fighters have the leverage to cause a work stoppage and negotiate more revenue? You have to be an employee to cause a work stoppage. And they're independent contractors, so no. Also, do you think monopolized and centralized MMA is a positive for fans? I think it's a trade-off, but in the end, long term, I don't think it's great. Boxing and the commissions is daunting to follow. Right, but it costs at the other end. I've said this before. I could move to Colombia right now, and I could have, I don't know, I call them servants, but I could have people who did everything for me. Go and pay my bills, do all my grocery shopping, clean my house every day, pick up my kids from school. I could easily afford it. But do you want, like, what does it mean that you live in a country where that kind of stuff is very, very affordable? It means you live in a country with a fucking broken economy. Like, yes, those people need that money and you are doing them some good, but it's an unofficial caste system that is the result of basically like poverty and an unequal system. Like there's deep social inequality in South America. And so people are like, is it good for people with American dollars to go there? Yes, it is. But where are you going? You're going to a place that is, again, Colombia is a wonderful place as people, as a culture. But as an economy, it's broken. It's broken. And this is why I try to get people to understand. Is it good for me to go down there? It's great. I've lived like a fucking king down there if I want to. But you're going to a place with a really fucked up economy. Alan W says, for your white guy country club brunch eating Easter clothing budget, wear them jorts. I don't have jorts. Will you watch Trump's Rogan episode? I'd rather get fucked to death by an 8-dicked walrus. What would be the point? What on earth could possibly be the point? All right. With that out of the way, I'm going to have a breakdown of the main event coming your way. So be on the lookout for that. What else? Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ilia Topuria experience. I told some of you fucking guys that you were going to have to learn the hard way. Well, welcome to the hard way. You have arrived at that position. But I think a lot of you now recognize he's obviously pretty great. Thanks to everybody who watched. Thanks to everybody who donated. Thanks to everybody who subscribed. Thanks to everybody who, anyway, just participated in the stream. I appreciate it so much. You guys are the best. I'm out of here. More coverage coming your way. I think even tonight, maybe. We'll see how that goes. But certainly tomorrow as well. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out. For the whole team here, stay frosty. Get some sleep. Bye.